Heyo, new day, new verse. We're going to dig into verses 13 through 19 today, 20. And I want to get into it a little bit here with the narrow gate and the tree and its fruits. But let's dig in. 13. You can enter God's kingdom only through the narrow gate. The highway to hell is broad, and its gate is wide, for the many who choose that way. But the gateway to life is very narrow, and the road is difficult, and only a few ever find it. Beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep, but are really vicious wolves. You can identify them by their fruit, that is, by the way they act. Can you pick grapes from a thorn bush, or from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? A good tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree can't produce bad fruit, and a bad tree can't produce good fruit. So every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire. Yes, just as you can identify a tree by its fruit, so you can identify people by their actions. I think the reason that these two come together for me in these moments is the question of the very narrow, difficult road that God knows we are walking. And He knows the difficulties we're in. He knows the struggles. He knows our hearts. He knows how hard it is to let Him shape us. Especially in a world where we learn to function in a state of dysfunction. We learn to mimic what we think is supposed to be human by what we see and what we are influenced by. And in that form, the fruit that a person bears tells you about them. If a person puts others first, they're bearing that good fruit. If they don't, maybe not. And I think in this regard, it is that narrow path where God sees the difficulty. Because when we feel like we're starting to produce bad fruit and we can take those moments and we can adjust them, we can be pruned back and we can start to grow anew. Whereas if when it's pointed out to us and we become okay and complacent with that behavior, complacent with that state of being, that we start to produce that bad fruit on multiple occasions, it becomes the primary fruit that is bared. Because the little bit of okay became more and more acceptable. It's that idea of how many times do you have to choose the lesser of two evils before you find good? Well, you don't choose the lesser of two evils, you simply choose good. It's like, well, it's not easy. God says it Himself. The gateway to life is very narrow and difficult, and few ever find it. And it is interesting just how narrow it feels when outside of it, but when inside of it, just how broad and how wide it is. And it is those rather crazy, in the sense of awe-inspiring wonder, of that will of God moment. Because I don't know about anyone else, obviously, but speaking for myself, when I have those moments when I know I'm outside of the will of God, the way that is straight and narrow and true feels like it is thinner than a hair, that it's pixel thin, itty bitty, teeny tiny, that if I even tried to step on it, it would break underneath the weight of me. And yet when I am inside of it, acting inside the will of God, it feels wider than fathomable, too immense to comprehend. And it is in those moments of understanding which is inside and which is outside that I start to prune myself, and, well, more accurately, let myself be pruned. Because it is a struggle against our own will versus the Lord's will be done. And it's not really a passive thing either. It's not, oh, well, the Lord's will be done. No, it's an active, I'm going to pursue the Lord. What he puts on my heart, I'm going to go do. I'm going to pursue him in all things, though. And it almost makes me think about David when they're first bringing in the ark, and how jovial and how bright and how happy he is just to be lost before the Lord. That it's not about anyone or anything around. It's just about being with the Lord, doing the right thing. Not necessarily because it's the right thing, not necessarily because it's its own reward, but purely because it makes our Father happy. Our Abba, who speaks life into us, who breathes life into our nostrils, who makes us animate, who gives the source of all creativity and wonderment and joy and hope. How could one not want to celebrate that? There's something beautiful in it. Knowing that the Lord knows how difficult it is, and that he'll meet us, even when we stumble. And he'll pull us forward when we let him, when we reach out and move forward with him. He is the Lord that is full of mercy and grace. Grace and unfathomable generosity of spirit, long-suffering and full of compassion. And when you're having a moment of difficulty remembering that, think back to the different roadblocks and road markers, rather, that the Lord has put in your life, where he's shown himself true. The battles are won through praise, not through picking up a sword. The sword we're supposed to pick up is the word and the spirit, not to beat each other to death with, but to speak against the enemy when those different things rise up. When we're facing the three temptations, like Jesus did in the desert, being able to say, no, this is what the truth of it is. The truth is love, the truth is mercy, the truth is grace, the truth is the Lord. Full of zeal, not zealotry. Resolute, full of mercy. Communicating the joy that is our strength. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for the True Disciples, verses 21 through 23. That should be great. I'll see you guys then. May his favor be upon you, and know that he's got you every step of the way.